Hello, all my fellow Canadians. I hope your summer is going great. Let's look at the news this morning. Coffee prices keep surging, and it's likely to get worse. Coffee prices spiked 14.5% in July from a year ago, inflation data shows. This is real coffee, okay? This is not an empty cup a la Pierre Poilievre. I'm actually drinking my morning coffee. And I'm out at the cottage outside recording here. It's the morning. This particular coffee is, I bought it on the West Coast. It's Brazilian coffee beans roasted in a little shop in BC. And I bought it. And it wasn't very expensive. So what are they talking about? Coffee prices keep surging. Oh, this is U.S. news. That's right. This is a gift to Americans, courtesy of the economically illiterate man that they elected as their president. Now, here's how the story goes. Reported on CNN a little while ago, Trump threatens 50% tariffs on Brazil if it doesn't stop the Bolsonaro witch hunt trial. Well, he followed through with those 50% tariffs on imports from Brazil. So now when American companies want to buy that coffee, they have to pay the Brazilian exporter whatever they charge for the coffee. And now they have to pay a 50% Trump tariff tax to the U.S. government. So if you look at a graph of the average cost per pound of coffee in the United States, reported here on Yahoo Finance, well, it was hovering around whatever that number is behind my head, but you can see now that the price is skyrocketing. Now, why would Donald Trump be stupid enough to put a 50% import tax on something that almost every American enjoys every morning? Why would he do that? Well, to protect this guy, of course. That's why every American is going to pay more now for their coffee, because Donald Trump wants to protect this guy. Who is this guy? Now, if you showed this picture to any American, do you think they would even know who he is? But the irony here is that Donald Trump, because he wants to protect this guy, has put an import tax on something that every American enjoys every morning. So Americans now are going to pay more for their coffee because of this guy. Well, actually not this guy, because of Donald Trump. But Donald Trump is doing it because of this guy. And the story is, as reported here on Al Jazeera, this guy, his name is Bolsonaro. He's the ex-president of Brazil, and he was under investigation and went through a trial. And now, as reported here, the verdict sentencing in a coup trial for Brazil's Bolsonaro is set for September. Supreme Court will rule on ex-president's fate in case dividing the nation that could result in a lengthy prison term. Donald Trump wants to keep this guy out of prison, so he's making Americans pay more for their morning coffee. Let me read you some of the particulars because it's quite entertaining. The court announced on Friday that the 5-justice panel overseeing the proceedings will deliver decisions on the 5 charges between September 2nd and September 12th. A coup conviction carries a sentence of up to 12 years. Bolsonaro, under house arrest since August, is accused of orchestrating a plot to cling to power after losing the 2022 presidential election to Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. He denies the allegations. Prosecutors allege Bolsonaro led a criminal organization that sought to overturn the election results. The case includes accusations that the plot involved plans to kill Lula and Supreme Court Justice Alexandre de Moraes, who is presiding over the trial now. They have presented messages, handwritten notes, and other materials they say document the conspiracy. Of course, defense lawyers say that no coup attempt was carried out and that Bolsonaro allowed the presidential handover to take place, undermining claims he tried to block it. But here's where it gets interesting. Here's where it gets juicy. Separately, right-wing Brazilian lawmaker Eduardo Bolsonaro, that's the son of the President Bolsonaro who's awaiting his sentencing. The younger Bolsonaro had been vocal in defending his father and calling for sanctions on his own country following his father's alleged coup attempt. His son said on Friday that he met with U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent this week as part of his campaign to secure sanctions against officials linked to the trial of his father. So Donald Trump obliged and set 50% tariffs on imports from Brazil. So now those tariffs have just kicked in, and the price of coffee in the United States is expected to skyrocket because importing coffee and selling coffee beans is a small margin business, and coffee shops that buy coffee and sell brewed coffee, that's a small margin business, and they can absorb a 50% tax on that product. So Americans, get ready to pay a lot more for your coffee because your president wants to protect this guy. You can't make this crap up. This is what happens when you elect an economic illiterate. And so what's Donald Trump's plan here? He's going to make coffee cost so much more in the United States that I guess Americans are going to have to cut back on their coffee. You know what happens when you don't have your coffee in the morning, right? You just don't feel right and you feel grumpy. Maybe that's what those hats mean. Those hats they wear, MAGA, make Americans grumpy again. I guess that's the plan. It's the most entertaining, convoluted screw-up that's so much fun to share with you because, of course, in Canada, we don't have tariffs on Brazil, so our coffee is still cheap. And I know, I'm drinking my coffee out of a teacup. I know. Maybe I didn't have a coffee. I'm at the cottage. I forgot to bring my I Choose Canada coffee mug. But there's another example of just a ridiculously not well thought out, stupid policy that's just going to punish Americans and make them all grumpy. And you know what? I'm going to enjoy the rest of my day. And later, for dinner, I'm going to have a barbecue. And I might enjoy a small glass of wine with my dinner. And the wine I'm going to have is from British Columbia. I certainly won't be having any wine that comes from the United States. Now, here's an example of a very smart policy. Reported here on the Robb Report, U.S. wine exports to Canada have plummeted 97%. Canadians offer a resounding response to Trump tariffs and the 51st state rhetoric. Well done, Canadians. Now that's an intelligent response. And here's a graph that will make Canadians proud. The monthly U.S. wine exports to Canada, chugging along pretty steady for decades. Look at the end of the graph there. 97% drop. And if you don't think this is going to hurt the U.S., the primary export market for U.S. wine is Canada. In 2024, Canada accounted for the largest share of U.S. wine exports, with retail sales exceeding $1.1 billion. Subtract 97% from that figure now. In 2024, Canada was a significant market for U.S. wine exports, accounting for roughly 1/3 of the total value. And this is the same for spirits and all different kinds of alcohol. And Donald Trump, his rhetoric, has just basically kissed goodbye 1/3 of the U.S. export market for wine and spirits. And all I can say is BC wine, Ontario wine, they sure taste good. So have a fantastic rest of your day and enjoy the rest of your summer, all my fellow Canadians. And for you Americans that are watching, you may want to look up who this guy is and read up on him, because every morning when you go have your coffee, you can feel really good that you're paying more to help him out. He's your best friend now. He's Donald Trump's best friend, I guess, and you're going to pay for it. Trump's tariff tax hits again. Leave some comments in the comment section, guys. A little bit of a fun video for you all this morning. Subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying the content. If you want to support my work in this channel on a monthly basis, click the join button and become a channel member. Have a great rest of your day, and I will catch you all on the next one.